and vice versa, Kinley.
And if you were to go, if you were trying to figure out the radius of it and it was a diameter, would you do 2 divided by that number?
You would. 24 divided by 2 is 12. That's your second. You can send it out to the Cool. So those are two definitions. Real quick check with that. If you are given the diameter, just like Kinley said, you have 20 feet for the diameter. What would the radius be? R would equal half of that. Jenica, what would it have to be?
10.
It's going to be half of 20. You can divide 20 by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10 feet. Find the diameter now. If they give you the radius, you have half of the circle. What's my diameter have to be from here, Hannah? You have half of that. The diameter would be the whole thing. What would I do with 7? Good. 14 meters is that entire diameter. You're going to try the next two on your own. If you have the diameter at 16, if this confuses you, just draw a little sketch. Diameter is the full thing across. What is the radius going to be if the diameter is 16? If that wording confuses you, just sketch that shape. Jersey, what would it be? What's the radius if the diameter is 16? So I want to go half of that diameter. What's half of 16, Jersey? It would be 8. Put R equals 8 centimeters. And last one. If the radius is 9, what's the diameter have to be, Jenica? Double it. If that confuses you again, just draw yourself a little sketch. Draw the radius and label it. 9 times 2 is 18. Judah, turn. Okay, last sketch before we get into the explore activity. I want you to draw a big circle to the right. How many letters does the word diameter have? How many letters is in the word diameter? D-I-A-M-E. Kenley, what is it?
8.
Okay, so we're going to write diameter in large letters across the diameter. Make a circle and label that. Thanks, Hunter, for getting there. Judah, finish it off. If you're confused by this is a little trick to help you. The diameter is 8 letters. How many letters are in the radius? The word radius, let's put a dot and move it, then we'll write it kind of small here. Jersey, how many letters? There's only 6. If you're ever confused at like, wait, which one's like the half one? I know they're not exactly half because it should be 4. But you can just count the letters. The smaller one is going to be the smaller size. So radius has less letters than diameter. It's going to be that one that only goes halfway. If that makes sense, kind of give me a thumb up. An easy way to remember it. Cool. Hands down, Aiden, hands to yourself. Here is your task with your partner. We are going to explore something called pi and circumference. First thing you're going to do is write that word on the line. Say circumference on 2. 1, 2.
Circumference.
The circumference is the distance around a circle. Example of that, just draw a circle. It's kind of like the perimeter. If you had drawn the circle in the sand and you walked around it and you measured it, that's your circumference. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of something in Greece. It was around 37 BC. Let me look it up because I forgot. His name was approximately Archimedes of Syracuse. He was born in 287 BC. And when he was roaming around Greece, he was pretty smart. And he would see a rock on the ground. We'll pretend this is a rock. And he'd have a string with him with a ruler. I'll get my ruler in a second. And he would measure the rock like this. The circumference, we know, is the distance around that circle. So I'm going to take the string, wrap it around until it matches the other side, and take it off. This should be the circumference. And he was that curious, he would measure lots of random things. He would then go over to his ruler, and he'd look at the centimeter side probably, because I think that's what Greeks used for measurement. Maybe not. And he would measure from that point to the end, and he would say, in a very scientific voice, that is about 21 centimeters. And everybody was very impressed by his measurement. However, one day, he lost the string and the ruler, and he's like, I wonder if I could just find a ruler without string, and if I could just figure out a way to get the circumference without this stupid piece of string, it would be way more efficient. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to pretend Sean talking to. You're going to pretend that you are Archimedes, and you're going to come up with how he invented this equation that we'll learn in just a couple minutes. You're going to, with your objects, don't touch them yet, you're going to do this process. Take the bottom of your red cup first, don't take it out yet. And you're yeah, pi goes on forever, that's pretty cool. It's called an irrational number. Here's why we're learning about pi.
Is there ever an end?
Voice off, hands up, because we have about 6 minutes to finish off 2 examples. I want to make sure you can do your homework tonight. You don't need to tell me how to find pi on the test on CASP. You're not going to say Archimedes found it by dividing circumference by diameter. I'm not going to have you answer that. I just want to give you a behind the scenes look of what 3.14 means. It isn't just a random number somebody like grabbed out of thin air. They actually discovered this thing through the calculation you just did 2,000 years ago. Pretty neat. Here's what you actually need to know for the test. You need to know 2 equations. Go up to the box that says with radius. The formula to get circumference is this. C equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius. You're going to put this equation on every homework page today that has circumference. You're just going to put 2 pi r. Mathematicians squish them together, double and 2. So just put 2 pi r for 2 times pi times the radius. The second equation you need to know is C equals pi times diameter. Henry voice. You are going to put the equation C equals pi times d for that equation. Here's when you use radius. Look at this circle. What was the radius of this one? You found it in page 1, Judah?
12.
It was 12. So I know the radius is 12. Put r equals next to the 12. Well, if you know the radius, which equation do you want to use? The first one or the second one? Frankie?
The first one.
It says radius. So yeah, I'm not going to use the diameter. You could find it. We know how to double, but they just give me the number. Let's use the first one. On that problem, put C equals 2 times pi times 12. What's the number that we use for pi again? We just found it and we're only going to use 3 digits, not the first 100. Topanga? Good. In your calculators, plug in 2 times 3.14, then hit times 12. Do not just stop at 3.14. If you get the answer 6.28, you are 1 step short. What is 2 times 3.14 times 12? Dublin.
75.36.
75 point what?
36.
Good. You have just found your first circumference. If you walked around that circle and it was drawn to scale, you'd get 75.36 inches total. Let's do one more. Go to the B, skip A for now. For B, they give you a line across the whole thing. You can shade it in. What do they give you? The radius or the diameter? Sean, board to paper. Henry, what is this going to be called? Put D equals that line. If they give me the diameter, what equation do you want to use, Henry? Yeah.
Multiplication.
With what? Diameter or radius?
Radius.
They give me what parts?
The diameter.
Okay, so if they give me the diameter, I'm not going to use the radius. I'm going to do pi times diameter. Go back to that problem and write C equals pi times d. What's the number that we use for pi again, Hannah?
3.14.
Good. Do 3.14 times, what's the diameter of this one, Hunter? 3.14 times 28 gives you your answer. Plug that in. 3.14 times 28. And what do you get for this? Sean,
8.79.
say it again.
8.79. 8.72.
I got 87.92.
87.9?
No, 8.7.
Let's check. 3.14 times 2, 8. We are one digit decimal off.
2.8.
Check it again. You might want to plug this in one more time. We had the right digits. We just need to go 1 over with the decimal.
2.8 on accident.
That's the blunder. Thanks for catching it. Okay, you now have two equations. Thankfully, thanks to Archimedes, we don't have to take a string and measure everything by hand. You have these efficient equations to work with. Try these the last 2 minutes. Don't pack up yet. You're doing 3, 4, and 5. On number 3,
Archimedes.
I should see this. Pi times radius times 2.
Was this gun or bell?
Nope, you got 2 minutes.
That's funny.
Check my board before you pack up. On your homework, I need to see these equations every single time. If they give you radius like this one, you're going to write 2 pi r. If they give you diameter, you're going to write pi times d. Diameter, write pi times d, and then solve it from there. You would use a calculator and do 2 times 3.14 times 2. That should be what your homework looks like. We're going to practice it more Monday.
I thought it would be 2 times 3.14.
Why do you have to multiply it by 2 for the radius? Again, you did 2 times the pi, but then 2 pi r was the equation, so you missed out on the radius portion.
Oh.
If you only do 2 times